Hello friends, let us move again on a very important uh, lecture or would say a video. Here you need to do a lot things. In this way you need to formulate the element stiffness matrix for the spring, then assemble that all the elements, then apply the boundary conditions and then treat that boundary conditions and finally get the solution. So I feel that this is the very important lecture or important video for all of you. So let us move on a very important video. So let us take, this is the problem. What is given that a spring, the spring is divided at this point. So this is the node 1, this is the node 1 and this one is the node 2. But here we have taken the one additional element, that is the node 3. So you can see very easily that there are the three nodes, node 1, node 2, node 2 and the node 3. So first of all we are interested to find out a element stiffness matrix. We are actually interested to find out the element stiffness matrix for the total spring by using a direct equilibrium as well as this, we could say, the spring assemblage method. So we know this is the element 1, this is the element 1 and this is the element 2. So we could say that is one node 1 3 is element 1 and 3 3 2 3 2 is element number 2. So to find out the stiffness matrix we have already studied that how to derive the stiffness matrix for the element. So I am writing here that is f1x, this is the f1x, f3x is equal to k minus k k1. This is the, once we have deriving then we keep that one. Now this is the d1x and d3x. Similar way, so f1 and f3, f1 and f3. So minus k minus k1 minus k1 k1. So you always keep a constant watch that diagonal of this matrices should be positive. Later on I am discussing why this one is to be positive. Now this is the term second or the element second, that is the f3 and the f2, f3 and f2. So these are the node f3 and f2, k2 minus k2 minus k2 plus k2, that is d3 and d2. So these are the element stiffness matrices, element stiffness matrices for the element 1. This is for the element 1, for element 1 and this one is for the element 2. So this is my element 1, this is my element 1 and this is my element 2, this is my element 2. So I am getting the two different stiffness matrices. Now I need to assemble this one because this is the requirement. Once I am assemble this one, then only then I would be able to find out the global force, that is the force and the total displacement, here you can observe that one, the spring is fixed here, the spring is fixed here. So this is the boundary condition applied into the problem. So this is the force, this is the boundary condition at node 1. At node 1 there is no movement, but at this point the force is applied, that is along the x-axis, so f2 is force, f2 is a force, while here that is the f3 is a force, while here the f3 is a force. So at this node how much force we need if we are interested to calculate, that is also possible to calculate by using the finite element analysis, and this is the f2x. So we get two nodes, node element stiffness matrix for the two elements, so for the element 1 and for the element number 2. This is the stiffness matrix. Now how to assemble this one? So we could say, now here you can see a compatibility law or the continuity law. In the last lectures or the previous videos we are studying a compatibility or the continuity. It means that there is a need of the continuity. What is that continuity? You could see that is the d1 3x, d3 at node 2 is equal to 3 d3s. These are connected, we could say this point, this point is connected, this point is connected. If this point is disconnected, then we could not solve this problem as a continue problem. So the continuity is required. So the continuity is required. Here just I have shown that whatever, how the force diagram, how the forces acting on node 1, how the forces acting on the spring on the node 3 and on the spring and on the nodes to understand. So later on you focus on this one and check how the forces are represented here, because this is very important for solving the problem. Hence the f3x is equal to f3x at the element 1 and f3x at the element 2, so that is equal to f3x. f2x is the force applied at the second node, as well as the f1x is the f1x at the node 1. Now f3x, what is that f3x? f3x is equal to this is given, f3x is equal to this f3x and this f3x. So f3x, how we are calculating this f3x is equal to this is the formulas are given, that is f3x is this one and f3 is this one. So if I am interested to find out this f3x for the element this one, the multiplication, matrix multiplication, so row by column, here the f3x is this row by this column. So how to calculate this one? Now what is this? 1 by 2 and this is the 2 by 1, so I am getting the one term, so what is that? That is the k minus k1 d1x, then plus k1 d2x, so here you can see that term is here. Now f3x is equal to minus k1 d1x plus k3 plus k2 d3x minus this one, because this is the term f3x is equal to this, there is the addition of these two terms. So here again f3x, this is the f3x, this is the f3x, now this is the f3x, so it's k1 k2 into d3x minus k2 into d2x. So again we can see this, into this one k2x, and this is the k2 dx, sorry this is the d3x and d2x. Similar way f2x is calculating from the force diagram and this one. Now you can see very easily, if I am converting this one into the matrix form, so f3x, f2x, f1x, so this is my matrix form, I am writing this one into the matrix form. Okay, then this one is to be matrix, so d1 d2 and d3 is to be removed, so d1 d2 d3 is to be outside. Now whatever the terms are remain, that I am writing here. So now this one is the d1x, then this one is the d3x, this is again the d3x. Now here this is the f3x and this is the d3x, so d3x, so at point 1 this is the k1 d3x is k1, and here the k2, so this is the k1 plus k2, the remaining one, that is the d2x, is k2, so this is the minus k2, I'm writing here, and lastly that is the k1, so again minus k1, so minus k1 d1x, so minus k1 d1x minus k1 into d1x. Similarly f2, that is the d3x, so this is the d3, this is the minus k2, I'm writing here minus k2, this k2, that is d2, so plus k2. Now the last term, that is f1x, that is the k1 dx, so k1 dx is written here, then the k1 d3x, so that is the k1 minus k1 dx, this is the plus k1 dx, okay, and this one is the minus k3 dx, so minus k3 dx, so this is the last term, that's why this is k1 and this is the minus, because this term is multiplied by this one and k1 multiplied by this one, so don't be confused here. And in this way I am assemble my matrix form. Then by rearranging, means by in a first matrix, here the f3, here f1, f2 and f3, I am just rearranging the terminology. So this is my matrix form, this is my matrix form. So here I am assemble my total two elements into a one element. But here what you observed, this is the very simplest form or very simple methods to convert the linear equations into a matrix form. Sometimes we are confused with this one and facing a lot difficulties. That's why we are using the another method, and that method is called as the superposition method. Superposition method. Here what we did in a first method, we are converting these equations into a matrix form, and that is called as the assemblage process. But this is somewhat complicated and facing a lot difficulties, so we are moving to another method that is called as the direct stiffness method. Into this one, this k1 I am writing here d1x, this is my d3x, d1x and d3x, while for the element 2, that is the d3x and d2x, this elements I have already defined, this one is already defined. So this is writing the d1x, d3x, d3x. So I am writing this is d1x, so this is d1x, d3x. So write your parameters here, later on, just in the assemblage process, write down that is the d1x, d2x and d3x. Here d1x, d2x and d3x, so that now expand or the directly superimpose this one, superimpose the elements. So in a k1, here is 1, this here minus 1, minus 1, minus 2, because there is a relationship between the d1 and d3. Here you could see there is a relationship between the d1 and d3. There is no d2 term, here we are adding the d2 term, but here the d2 term is available, so just to superimpose means from that matrix you write here the 1, here minus 1, minus 1, 1. Now add the k2 is equal to, this is 1, minus 1, minus 1, 1. Always check diagonal must be positive, okay. Now you are getting the k1, now you are getting the k2. Assemble, add these two. So if I adding this one, I am getting the total force matrix. So k1 into d1 plus k2, this is the addition. So when you are adding this one, so there is automatically this is the 1 plus 0, 0 plus 0, minus 1 plus 0, 0 plus 0, this is the 0, 0, 0, so minus 1, 1. Here the 0 minus 1 plus 0, this is 0, but here 1 plus 1, that is 2, 1 plus 1, that is 2. So finally we are getting that is k1, k2, here the values of a k1 plus k2. So this is the method for calculating the, for adding the or the assembly. This is called as the assemblage also. So assemblage can possible by a two method. First method is a conversion of linear equations into a matrix form, or the your second, that is the superimpose method, or the we could say direct stiffness method. In a direct stiffness method, what we did first of all manipulation in a very right way. We are converting our matrix into this one, into this form, and then adding this one. So write down first of all your matrix, element stiffness matrix into this form, and just add it, you get the final solution for this one. So this is the direct stiffness method. Now we use the very shortcut method again, that is writing this directly and directly conversion, that is d1 by d3, d3. You can directly, instead of going to that process, you can directly write d1, d2, d3, d1, d2, d3, and accordingly you write the values and put here the addition. Then automatically you get, instead of a lot terms you are added, you can directly able to solve it. So this is called as again the very shortcut method to assemble the global stiffness matrix. Now why we are doing this one? Because this is the local coordinate systems. Now see, just this one are the local coordinate system. This is the local or the elemental stiffness matrix, and when we added, then we are getting the global one, then we are getting the global one. So this is the global. So here you can watch, this is the k1 k2 not hat. Here the force is f1 f2 f3 x, while here you can watch this one is the small f1. So this is the small f1, this is the small f1, small f1. So f1x, f2x. So we are getting the, we are assemblage this one, and finally we are getting the global parameters. So this is the global stiffness matrix. So by using these methods we are able to find out the global stiffness matrix. Now the boundary conditions. Once we are able to find out the global stiffness matrix, then we need to apply the boundary condition, because without applying the boundary condition we could not solve the problem. Whatever the matrix we are generating, this matrix is a singular matrix. Why this is called as the singular matrix? Because if we are calculating the determinant of these values, then we are getting the value equal to 0. So determinant of my k matrix, determinant of my k matrix is equal to 0, is equal to 0. Hence this is the singular matrix, hence this is the singular matrix. And since this is the singular matrix, we could not able to find out the my inverse matrix. By this inverse matrix, because my equation is force is equal to, force is equal to k matrix multiplied by my displacement matrix, my displacement matrix. So if I am interested to find out the displacement matrix, displacement matrix is equal to, is equal to displacement matrix, displacement matrix is equal to, is equal to k inverse matrix, k inverse matrix, k inverse matrix multiplied by force matrix, force matrix. So I am interested to calculate the inverse of the k matrix. So if this k matrix is a singular, and if this its determinant is 0, then we could not find the inverse matrix, and ultimately we could not solve the problem. So that we are applying the boundary conditions. So there are the two types of the boundary conditions. What are that? Homogeneous boundary condition and the non-homogeneous boundary condition. What is homogeneous? When at when the locations are completely prevented, means the movement at the locations are completely prevented, then that is called as the homogeneous. In a last lecture, or the sorry, in a last problem, we have seen that there is a, at node 1, at node 1 the boundary is prevented, so that is called as the homogeneous. And sometimes that is called as the non-homogeneous. Means what? That there is a, there is a no fixed, or that parameter is not prevented, but there is a certain value is given, then that is called as the non-homogeneous method. So we are applying the boundary conditions to solve that problem. The boundary conditions are the homogeneous as well as the non-homogeneous. What is meant by the homogeneous? When the body, your movement is completely prevented, then that is called as the homogeneous method. And when there is a some non-zero value is given of a displacement, then that is called as the non-homogeneous parameters. Let us take and manipulate a parameters. So now here, as we know, a d1 is totally stop, or it1 is prevented. So my d1 is equal to 0. My d1 is equal to 0. Since this d1 is equal to 0, I can directly remove this term and this term. I can directly remove this term and this term. Actually, this is the expanded form. I am using the direct method. Hence, my matrix is k2 minus k1 multiplied by these parameters, Okay. So this is my final form. So I can go directly. To this one. See, k1, this one, d2, d3. Now these are the two simultaneous equation I am getting. Now you can see that this is the term. So d1 d2 is come out. So this is the inverse of this one. See, in this one we are interested to find out the inverse of this matrix. So just to find out the inverse, once I am finding the inverse is this one. By solving this, we are calculating the inverse of this one, and we are getting the solution, and finally that is the forces are calculating, that is by putting the values, directly we can able to find out the values directly. So this is the method for applying the boundary conditions. Now if there is a non-homogeneous conditions, means what? In in the last one here, this is the value of 0. Why this is 0? Because my boundary condition is fixed, means there is no movement. If there is no movement, then that is equal to 0, then that is equal to 0. So if we put here 0, I removed this term, putting this equation, inversing this parameter, getting the inverse and getting the solution. That is the one answer. Now the second method, when there is no non-homogeneous boundary condition is given. Non-homogeneous boundary condition is given means what? That is given, that is d1 x is equal to some value, that is the delta value. If the delta value is given, then how to manipulate this one? Again, just when the delta is given here, you need to remove this one, term, but multiply this delta to this term, now let us come to this one, that is the k1 delta. Okay, so these values are given. Now the delta is here, or directly I could say, instead of directly cancelling this one, just put here the delta. So k1 into delta 0 into delta 2x, k3 into delta 2x is equal to f1. So that delta is to be manipulated. Here also a delta is available, here also the delta is available. So calculate this one, then just or directly I could say, just remove this one and remove this one, but put here, that is the delta term here and delta term here. So don't remove this one, sorry, one thing, just remove this term only, multiply this by delta and multiplied by this delta and find out the solution. So here you can see that this is the multiplied by delta, this is by multiplied by delta. Okay, and finally you get these values, that is the k1 into delta. So by condensing the second term and the third term, okay, k1 this way, so transforming this known term to the right side. Now here this is the 0, so here plus 0 delta plus 0 delta, while here this term comes to here, so we can write this one as the k1 delta plus f3 delta. Now you get the solution. So if I'm writing this term, that is the k2, then k2, k1, k2, 2 and 3, this term comes here. So the matrix form looks like this one, k2 minus k2 minus k2, k1, k, again check, these both terms are plus, this d2, this is d3, so this is the f3, and this is the k1 minus delta f3. So this is the non-homogeneous boundary condition. So such problems we need to solve into the heat transfer problem also. So you focus on this method of how to manipulate the non-homogeneous boundary condition in a right way, because this is useful into the heat transfer problem also, but not in a second unit or the third unit, but this is very important into the chapter number heat transfer, that is fifth unit. So that in this way we are able to manipulate our parameter. This is also called, sometimes called as the your penalty method. So in nutshell, what is that? The stiffness matrix, about this lecture, the stiffness matrix is applicable. So k is the symmetric matrix. K must is a singular, thus no inverse exists, hence boundary conditions to be applied or the imposed, and check that boundary conditions are which. If that boundary condition are homogeneous, then equal to 0. If non-homogeneous, put the delta and solve the problem. So main diagonal terms, that is these diagonal terms must be a positive one, If this is not positive, then what it indicates? What it indicates that is the nodal force could produce the negative displacement, which one is not practical, which is not practical. Hence your diagonals must be always positive. Thanks. And this is the last term, which one is only explaining that okay, what will happen with that process. So thank you for watching the video. Thanks to all. Thank you.